Welcome, Patriots, to this episode of Raven's Radar. We have dynamism in the studio today. It is going to be epic. We are raising the standard. It's not even the gold standard, it's the Mercedes standard. What does she mean? It's coming up. If it's in your sights, it's on my radar. We'll be airborne shortly. Welcome back, Patriots. It is that time. It is time to get to the front line, and today it looks gorgeous. It is going to be a great episode of Raven's Radar today. We have a true legend with us today, the one and only Mercedes Schlapp. Welcome, Mercedes, to Raven's Radar.
Hi, Raven. You're making me sound old when you say legend.
No, they were.
But I'll take it. Old is good.
More of you might have to walk on water or something after I finish warming up. But Mercedes, I happen to know you are a powerhouse. You have a lot of impressive things to your credit. You are, I believe, the co-founder of CPAC. You have been working on documentaries. You worked in 2 administrations, I believe, in the White House in communications and strategy. Just amazing. So, but for our Patriots who haven't been watching the front lines, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first, thank you for having me on your show. I think it's so important for us to stay connected as a community. As we ensure that we keep America strong. I think so many of us are so concerned as to the direction of this country. And, my background is I grew up in Miami, Florida. My father was a political prisoner in Cuba who fought against communism and gave me a real strong background in ensuring that we understand that freedom is fragile. And so because of what he went through in his life, and he inspired me to get involved in politics and in public service. And in essence, then I decided early on to start working in government and worked for President George W. Bush in the White House at a young age. And then my second round after having a bunch of kids, working with, I would say, the best president in our history, which is President Donald Trump, which was a real honor to work in his White House for 2 years, and then worked in several presidential campaigns in the process. And, truly it's been quite an interesting time to see happen. And now working at CPAC, I'm not the co-founder, but Matt Schlapp is the chairman, and I get to support his efforts and the team's efforts in working on really important policy issues like combating human trafficking, like stopping the craziness with woke corporations, working on issues like criminal justice reform, and ensuring that we preserve our, what I say, not only just American values, but conservative values. The most interesting part about this is that we've seen this explosion in terms of the conservative movement, not only here in the US, but across the globe. Matt just came back from CPAC Australia. And what you learn so much from these foreign countries and being able to realize that we as conservatives need to unite not only at the national level, but across the world.
That is it. She's given us a lot, Patriots. I want to, first of all, second that about Donald J. Trump being the greatest president of our lifetime. Also want to interject, Patriots, that this is not a hand-me-down story that Mercedes has for communism. Her father was actually fighting Castro, actually fighting the communism that's at our shores. So Mercedes, we've got going forward, this is a whole complex dynamic, and you and I have crossed paths on this before. What do you think is the most pressing thing right now that Patriots need to be mindful of as we take our country back going into 24?
Look, I think that there are several components here. And we should be all very concerned as to understanding the mentality of the left, the mentality of the socialists in this country, of the progressives, is that you've seen the left take over not only our media institutions, but our academic institutions and our political institutions. Look, I'm very concerned about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. We're seeing this two-tiered justice system. We're seeing how former President Donald Trump is being prosecuted at multiple levels in multiple jurisdictions, and how they're really trying to throw this man into jail. Now, when you look at this, this is something that you would see in other countries. You're starting to understand, like, for example, take Brazil, where the former President Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, who did not win that election, and now they're talking about the fact that the court in Brazil basically said he can't run again for a number of years. And now they're talking about the fact that they might throw him in jail. So these are things that happen in these very unstable countries. And all of a sudden, we're seeing this come to our shores, where a former president is being indicted over questioning an election, where his belief is, I believe the election was rigged, and having a belief in something, yet because of that, they're attacking him and trying to, again, put him in jail. I think that that's a very troubling situation that we're seeing right now happening in our country. With that being said, I also think that when we're looking at what is happening in our academic institutions, whether it be this insanity with gender ideology, the pushing in our medical institutions of puberty blockers on young kids. I mean, that is child abuse in and of itself. And obviously the chaos that we're seeing at the border, which we know has jeopardized basically our national security right now, where you're seeing not only illegals with the drug cartels and human traffickers who are preying on children, sexually assaulting young girls, going through, basically coming through the border illegally, but also and bringing drugs to our communities, but also Chinese nationals and that are also coming through this very uncontrolled open border process that Biden has allowed for. And we're going to be concerned about election integrity as we go into the 2024 election. We saw what happened with Kari Lake and the voting machines the day of the election. We have several of these cities that we're very concerned about what's going to happen there as we enter 2024. So we have to stay vigilant and really get involved in this process of being poll watchers, precinct captains, and really engaging as we go into the electoral process in 2024.
That is, I'm telling you, did I tell you she's fired, Patriots? Most of you already know that. This is really important stuff that Mercedes just dropped, Patriots. Are we catching this? So they're trying to indict President Trump, arrest him, and put him in jail for questioning an election. Mercedes, is my math, I'm old enough to remember when Hillary Clinton wrote a book about the election not being the way she wanted to. And so did Stacey Abrams, who refused to concede the election, still maintains she's the governor of Alabama, but I don't see, or Georgia,
Governor
or whatever.
Of Georgia, yeah.
Of Georgia, yeah. But, that's where we are right now. And you are right. This is a war that has crossed multiple planes. They're in our schools now trying to teach this gender ideology. They've got our border wide open, which is full of unvetted, unscreened people. And now they are trying to throw people in jail for questioning what they can see with their own eyes. And just Patriots, for record, the last few people to do that, Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler, threw their political opponents in jail. Okay, just saying. So that's where we want to go. So Patriots, we're going to continue on the front line with the one and only Mercedes Schlapp right after this. Hey there, Patriots. It's Raven Harrison, your conservative warrior. I'm coming to you on behalf of Raven PAC, which is an organization I founded to ensure that real Christians, real believers, real patriots have the resources and the funding to fight this unprecedented war for our freedoms and our country. Not all heroes wear capes, but wars are expensive and tiresome. I encourage you to go to ravenharrison.com, click on the link for Raven PAC, and give us your most generous contribution. As I always say, if you can't be on the front lines, support those of us who are, and every little bit helps. This is an unprecedented fight for our freedoms, but it's a war we can win. I am grateful for every patriot who will go to Raven PAC and donate and be part of this great country and restoring it to all its glory. Until then, Keep fighting. Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to this episode. We have got the fabulous, dynamic, incredible Mercedes Schlapp with us. And I'm telling you, this is one of our legendary conservative fighters in this movement, and we need her right now. Let me show you a clip of what she's working on.
What's so scary is you're starting to see these violent mobs happening across college campuses. You have, for example, a respected liberal professor at Middlebury, Allison Stanger. She actually suffered a concussion and whiplash trying to escort a speaker across campus simply because these students did not agree with the speaker's ideas.
We're going to have a great dialogue if you let us continue.
It was this real groupthink mob mentality where people weren't reading and thinking for themselves, but rather relying on other people to tell them what to think.
I know when I was in college, as a Cuban American, our university brought Cuban communists from the Cuban government to our campus. And instead of stopping them from coming on campus, we wanted to ensure that we were able to talk to them, engage them, exchange ideas, and present the argument as to why communism is wrong.
Welcome back, Patriots. That's where we are. Mercedes, when you see this documentary, when you see the clips of what you're doing on the front line, what do you want Patriots to know about this cancel culture and how we are going to overcome it?
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, the Culture Killers was a documentary we put together through CPAC and through the great Jason Meath Productions. And really, we learned what you're seeing is that, you know, this goes from the fact that we as patriots have to unite to fight the cancel culture. I think for too long, we were just, you know, raising our families, doing our work, getting by, and making sure we could, you know, go to our jobs. And then all of a sudden, all this political craziness seeped into our everyday lives, in every aspect of our lives. And so before you know it, it became a conversation of, you know, biological men playing in girls' sports, for crying out loud. And for any of us who have daughters, like you, Raven, you know, we know the impact of the girls working really hard to do what they can to compete in sports. And then all of a sudden, you bring in the biological male to basically beat and win in these girls' sports. I mean, it is really, really uncalled for, and I just think plain wrong. And then when you look at the fact that you have this whole craziness with, for example, the gender ideology, as we've talked about, seeping into social media, where you have vulnerable teenagers, you know, maybe, that are basically now saying at 13, 14 years old, even as young as 7 or 8 years old, let me take these puberty blockers. So, because I want to transition. I'm sorry, but when you're 13, 14, 9 years old, you have no idea who you are as a person at that time.
Amen.
And so all these issues of the fact that the left has an agenda. And it's really important to understand that this leftist agenda is a global network of liberals. And I would say liberals, I would say of just socialists, of individuals who want to tell you how you should vote, how you should think, how you should raise your children, and make sure that the governments are in control, where you as the individual, you as being in charge of your family, are not the ones making the decisions. In fact, they want you to feel like you're a bigot, a racist, that you're just plain wrong when you stand up, for example, for God and your faith and for your family. And it's why this is a moment in time, and this is what we push so strongly in CPAC. And let me tell you, you know this, Raven, they've tried to destroy us. They've tried to destroy my family. They've tried to destroy the organization. Because why? Because we push back against the wokeness, because we push back against the leftists. They want to destroy. Our goal is to build stronger as a community, because we know that there's more of us, people who love God, who love their family, who love their country, than there are of them.
And that's it. And Patriots, this is what I need you to hear from all of this is Mercedes, myself, people like us, we take a lot of fire to be on the front line. And I mean, it's just, but these are who our children should be looking up to, as these ones who are standing up. And Mercedes is right. They've had people camped on their lawn, you know, attacking their family. And Mercedes knows my daughter, Patience, really well. My daughter looks up to Mercedes because she knows what it's like to fight. And when my daughter was kicked out of school for voting for Trump in a mock election, we know how that ended. It created the conservative warrior, Mercedes. But more importantly, we don't have rules, enough words to explain to people that there's nothing you can say to a teenage girl when she goes to play tennis and there's a 7-foot male standing there with all this muscle to compete against her. This is wrong on every level. So we're going to fight to protect women's sports. We're going to fight to protect our schools. We're going to fight to protect our children. And that's a lot of what you do, Mercedes. Now, going forward to the election, we've got a very crowded, so everybody's talking about what's happening with Donald Trump, but we have a presidential debate coming up at the time of this filming. Give me your thoughts on this debate. President Trump is going to skip it, which I think is a very good idea. And what your thoughts are on the field coming after Trump for the nomination.
Yeah, so look, I think President Trump, this is an incumbent primary. He's very much driving the narrative. Not only does he drive the media narrative, he drives the political narrative. And so he really has the upper hand, and he can choose not to go to the debate. Why? Because that debate is all going to be about Trump at the end of the day, right? So it would have been the moderators basically bringing up Trump, obviously the other candidates bashing Trump, not all of them, I would say, but like a Ron DeSantis, a Chris Christie. So there's no win-win for Trump to go do this debate. He's the one that's he's the one in charge right now. So I think for this matter of the debate, these other candidates are so far behind, it'll be very difficult for them to catch up to Trump. And quite frankly, I just don't see that we're going to get a lot out of the debate other than knowing who really does need to drop out. I think the ones to watch in this debate will be Vivek Ramaswamy. He's learned how to play this political game pretty well for being, a novice. He doesn't attack Trump. He understands that Trump did a lot of good in this country. And so he wants to be able to build off of what Trump did. He talks about America First 2.0, which makes a lot of sense. I think Ron DeSantis and his campaign team they have failed miserably in the sense that their goal was just to attack Trump head on. They just put out an ad hitting Trump for not going to the debate, calling Trump too weak to go attend the debate. It's like everyone who knows Donald Trump, who has seen Donald Trump in action, there's one word that does not go with Donald Trump, and that is weak.
Correct.
So I think like his messaging, Ron DeSantis' messaging has been off time and time again. He made a calculated decision to go after Trump, which means if you're going after President Trump, you're going after his voters, the same voters you have to court. So I think DeSantis has really lost a lot of momentum. I think Vivek, you're going to see him shine on stage, although I do believe they're going to try to all attack Vivek because they view him as the threat. And then you have Chris Christie, who actually is like right now in the polls doing pretty well in New Hampshire. He's not going to go anywhere, but he's going to be the one attacking Trump the whole entire time between, and trying to basically say he's not an option. So I could see him filibustering, really being anti-Trump. I think I could see him going after Ron DeSantis as well. It'll be an interesting, it's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of back and forth, with really the end result being that Donald Trump won the debate with not being at the debate.
I agree with Mercedes 100%. I've been talking about this on the news circuits. I feel like Ron DeSantis' strategy of comparing himself to Trump and then attacking Trump was the nail in his coffin before it ever got started. He's done a fabulous job with Florida, but this is a bigger game. And Chris Christie, let me just go on record as telling you, Chris, Donald Trump is afraid of me. He's not afraid of you. We're afraid of your policies because they suck. Okay, so we are looking for this debate, and I agree with Mercedes full-heartedly that this is going to be all Trump all the time. So he's got the best of both worlds. He's going to be dominating the headlines in both scapes, one with Tucker and one in the debate field while everybody's talking about him. So we've got two kinds of people in this race, Patriots, those who are Trump and those who want to be Trump. You heard it here first. And we are going to return with Mercedes Schlapp right after this. Hey there, Patriots. It's Raven Harrison, the conservative warrior. The book is out, Raven's Mantle, Fighting the Betrayal of America. It is a powerful memoir that you have to read to believe. Not just my story, the loop of being raised in the Cold War and now being on a loop with communism, but also what the story of the daughter of two retired Air Force colonels looks like, what the front line looks like, and more importantly, what created the conservative warrior. It is a story you have to read to believe. It is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, on our website, RavenHarrison.com, and in bookstores. I'm encouraging you, Patriots, to go out and get a copy of this book. Support us in this unprecedented fight for our freedom and know what the front line looks like. An informed patriot is a powerful patriot. And like I always say, if you can't be on the front lines, support those of us who are. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Keep fighting. Welcome back. We have been so honored today, Patriots, to have the one and only Mercedes Schlapp with us. She is a powerhouse, and this is what we need right now. I want to encourage Patriots. These are the ones out here doing it. This is what the front line looks like. Mercedes, tell our Patriots and listeners what you are working on now. What is the next step as we move this conservative train forward for 24?
Well, we just launched about a month ago when we did the movie premiere of The Sound of Freedom. And if you have not watched The Sound of Freedom, please go watch it. It is an incredible movie and just so inspiring to learn about what Tim Ballard, really a hero, did to save these innocent children from the hands of human traffickers. We launched the CPAC Center for Combatting Human Trafficking. We held alongside with our friends, Mexican counterparts, Galedo, we launched the International Summit Against Human Trafficking on Capitol Hill, where we had speakers like Senator Marsha Blackburn. We had Congressman Scott Perry, as well as Congressman Chris Smith and several others who basically are talking about what we can do from a policy level to toughen penalties against human traffickers, as well as protect the victims. It's really important to understand, these human traffickers, it's sick. This is demonic. They take 5 to 6 year olds. These children, many times, and young teenagers are raped multiple times a day. The U.S. is one of the top destinations for human trafficking. Add to that the open border, where you have these human traffickers bringing children through the border. And then, of course, they're being exploited. We have about 85,000 children that are missing of those that cross the border. And so the key for us is not only to be a very big part of the federal policy changes that need to be made, but also work on this at a state level, state by state level. Some states are really bad in terms of targeting human traffickers. Because listen, if we can't come together on this issue of protecting the most innocent and protecting the children against these sex predators, then we're not doing our job in terms of saving humanity and saving our country. So that's a big initiative that we're working on now. In addition to obviously being very involved in making sure our grassroots activists get involved in the election process as we move into 2024. We're going to stand up, fight back. That's what we do, but also ensure that we lead in this efforts of building the conservative movement here in America as well as internationally.
That is amazing. And yes, Patriots, I push that on my social media. If you have not seen Sound of Freedom, you must. It is difficult to watch this. I mean, it is tough to watch what's really going on, but we have to. This is not time for ostrich mode, where we have our heads in the sand. This is time for lion mode, time to roar, Patriots. And Mercedes, I agree with you. I also happen on a side note, Jim Caviezel does an amazing job.
Caviezel, yeah, he's amazing.
He was literally born to inspire Christians and patriots with his performance. So Mercedes, this is awesome. So Patriots, this is what it looks like. This is Mercedes on the front line of protecting your kids, your freedoms, and your home, because I live here in Texas and that border, is ridiculous. We have been down there. Chinese national, fentanyl, drugs, bracelets that came off of children, of what they're indebted to the cartels. We have got to fix America now, and it starts at home. So Mercedes, thank you so much for being with us today. Where can people reach you and find you and get involved with what you're doing?
Sure. Well, if you want to learn more about what we're doing with the center and all of our other initiatives, go to cpac.org. Obviously, follow us at CPAC. I'm at Mercedes Schlapp, and Matt is at M Schlapp. Believe me, we stay very connected with our grassroots. As Raven knows, she goes to CPAC. She's so amazing, and I'm so blessed to know she's a dear friend and someone who's just also on the front line, making sure that we do what we need to do. Because I do agree, Raven, it starts at home. It starts with praying with your family. It starts with making sure that, you keep your kids in a place where they know that, that the outside world, reject the outside world, but do what you can to be strong. And being strong in character and being strong in your faith, I think, is definitely the remedy to getting through these very difficult times, because we are going through difficult times, dark times here in America. But we can't give up. We have to have hope.
That is absolutely it. And thank you, Mercedes. I feel very honored to work alongside Mercedes whenever I can. It's difficult, Patriots, but we were made for a time such as this. God doesn't call the qualified. Amen. He qualifies who he calls. So that's where we're going. Mercedes, it has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will be back right after this.
We are here to defend democracy for the people.
Howdy, Patriots. It's Raven, the conservative warrior, on behalf of Patriot Mobile, the only Christian conservative wireless network. Stop supporting companies that are selling you out, that don't share your values. Call Patriot Mobile today. Use the link below and put in the activation code RAVEN, and you'll get it for free. Patriots, it's time to make wireless great again. Call Patriot Mobile today. Vote with your wallet. And Patriots, mobilize.
Thank you, Patriots, for being here for this episode of Raven's Radar. I hope you enjoyed having Mercedes Schlapp. It was so gracious for her to come. She's such a busy woman. She's everywhere, fighting for schools, fighting for the border, fighting for election integrity, fighting for our republic, just everywhere. And she takes a lot of heat to do this, Patriots. So I always say, it's going to take more than shaking our fist at the TV. This is the time for action now. It's time for us to really report to this front line, to step up, put on the full armor of God, and get ready for the battle to take our country back. God didn't say everything was going to be easy. He said all things were possible. So Patriots, this is our time. If you want more information about Mercedes, you can find it on our website, ravenharrison.com. We're on social media at Raven_TX Warrior. You can find us there. You can also go out and buy a copy of our book, Raven's Mantle, Fighting the Betrayal of America. It is a barn burner. It is a firebrand in print. You want to know what created the conservative warrior? I'm going to tell you, you've never read anything like this before. I'm going to tell you what brought me to the front lines, and more importantly, Patriots, what are we going to do about it? We have a lot of outrage being feigned, but not a lot of people feigning solutions. So I want to change that. So please go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, pick up a copy of the book. Also, please go to RavenHarrison.com and click on Raven Pack. That is a pack I formed, and it is specifically to help Christians, conservatives, as we fight this war for our schools, our border, our elections, everything that we need to reset this country and get it back on track. Our founding fathers gave their fortune and their lives to protect what we're fighting against right now. So Patriots, it's time to report to this line. If you can't be on the front lines, support those of us who are. Please give us your most generous donation. Every little bit helps. And Patriots, we are so inspired to have people like Mercedes on the front line helping us fight. So until the next time, keep fighting.